Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here, and welcome to another video. I had actually a surprising amount of trouble trying to put a label on this, a title for this video. There are quite a few tank-like things that end in arium. Besides aquarium and terrarium and vivarium and paludarium, there's actually a number of others. There's one I ran across that I hadn't heard before, and that is riparium. And apparently that just means a tank that has a depiction of a shore, like either a river or a lake or an ocean, and it's mostly just trying to show that divide between the water and land. But my favorite always has been, whenever we're dealing with these sorts of things that just wasn't strictly a fish tank, is vivarium, and it just means container with life in it, so it kind of covers all those bases. My intent for this actually is for it to be an emersed sort of planter filter. If you guys remember the last few videos, I've been showing you my war with duckweed, and the old system had an awful lot of Java moss, Java fern, and other small plants that were growing like right at the top edge of the aquarium. And as long as I kept a lid on it, they grew really nicely. So this is a lid here. It's going to be up the other way, obviously. This is upside down technically for it right now. So it is going to supply a nice humid environment for those plants to grow well. Because what I want to do is I'm going to put some tracks on this, and then I'm going to have a tray inside, and that tray is going to have a nice wet humid environment, and I want to grow Java moss and Java fern, and to start off with nubius, and I want to grow them immersed, so the leaves will grow above the water, or above the water and below the water, and I want to create that really neat environment. Now the reason why I'm going to put tracks on this is I want to when it runs normally it's going to be near the back, so it's out of the way, but I want to be able to slide it forward if I want to do any work on it, and that's the purpose for that. Now I've been building this out of 1/8 inch acrylic, and you'll notice as I've been doing this, it is really flexible, and it doesn't really have a lot of structural integrity. But then again, it's not really supporting a lot of weight or anything, it's just got to support itself. So it's not really that much of an issue. But when you're trying to glue it together like this here, you have to be very careful, or you'll end up with quite the wiggle in it instead of being straight. And it just takes a little bit extra time. But because it's so thin, it is actually really easy to glue it up without getting any bubbles in the seam. So it's kind of like a 6 of one, half a dozen the other kind of thing. So I'm going to put an outside track on this one, and then I'm going to test fit it onto the tank. But you'll notice as you look at the end here, there's a bit of a wow to it, and also the sides come in a little bit. Until I start getting the brackets on this more firmly, it does have a little bit of give, so it doesn't fit. You'll see when I do the first test fit, it doesn't quite go on as smoothly, but as I add more things to it, it does solid up quite a bit. So this is going to be my gap, my measuring stick, first for giving me so that all the outside brackets are at the same level, and also that piece of tape you see on there is just my marker, so that visually they'll be all set up at the same distance. That part really is completely unnecessary. I just wanted to make it look nice. And as always, don't glue all the way through. I've told you guys that lots of times. It just makes a mess. So I'm going to tack these on. I'm going to flip it up, and then do the final glue up for that, and then I'll do the other side, and then I'll put on the tank for a test fit. It's like I said, it's very easy to do these brackets this way, and the reason why this sits inside the tank, like the whole top lid. If you remember from the very first clip, the whole lid fell inside. That's intentional because this is going to have a fair amount of condensation accumulating underneath it, and I want all that to drip back into the aquarium, of course, instead of just down the sides. And that's the reason for this. So I'm going to stick it on the tank here. You'll notice as I put it on, there's a bit of wiggling here. That's because all the brackets aren't on yet, and it is still quite flimsy. And you'll also notice it's on the second tank from the end, whereas I was originally intending to put it on the end one. There's just a bit more room here, and I do want to try this out, like try different things with it, so I wanted a bit more space to work with it. I'm going to flip over to another view here in a second. You'll notice that one thing I haven't done yet, and that is I haven't put the front on it. That is intentional because I have a video coming up shortly once I get the magnets for it. I want to show how to make some hinged lids for aquariums, and the front door of this is going to have a hinge to it, and that's why I'm leaving that till later, because obviously if you don't put like I said, a lid on this, all the humidity is just going to escape, and it's just not going to look nice at all. So now we got to start working on the inside. You'll notice to the left there, and you're almost near the top, that's the tray that's going to slide inside this. And there's a round hole there, and it's going to be fed by an undergravel filter. And if you remember from quite a few videos ago now, this entire rack is going to be filtered by undergravel filters with different modifications. And this particular modification is going to be this emersed planter filter Vivarium attachment kind of thing. So, and then the other thing I said as earlier is this this bracket is going to run the full length of it, because it's going to sit. I want this tray to sit all the way to the back initially, like while it's running, so I can work on the aquarium, fish out, and all that sort of stuff. Do all the aquarium part. And then if I need to do any work on this particular, like the tray itself, I can slide it all the way forward and then do work on it and then push it all the way back into position when it's done. Mostly just for ease of access. And it's kind of important. So I'm going to glue this in, and then we're going to put it back on the aquarium. And you'll see how easily it goes in this time, which is kind of cool. So while I'm doing that, the other thing I mentioned in the last video is it's time for the 8K draw. And I must mention that life is really busy. I mean, I put about 60 hours a week in my regular job, plus what I do here for this. And I actually just got the 7K winners into the mail today. My apologies. I should have got it done earlier. The original delay started because I was going to use some of those bits and pieces for other videos, and then finally it says I got to get these done and get them out, because now we're at 8K. And if you're interested in entering in the draw, just leave a comment below. The only change this time is I want to limit it to one draw for one comment. In other words, leave as many comments as you want, but it's just going to be one entry, because it's getting to the point now where it just takes up a lot of time to get everything all done up. So there you go. See, this tray slides back really nicely, and that's going to be kind of cool feature, I hope. It obviously will be a little weightier when I have plants and water and everything, and we'll just see how that all works out. I think it should be fine, but we'll see. Well, that's it. When you work with acrylic, it creates an awful lot of static, and you can see there's little pieces of acrylic everywhere, and it just clings to everything. And the other thing I needed to do was put a few notches in this. I did that on the milling machine. I could have done round holes as well. I just went this route. It doesn't really matter. So, like I said, thank you very much for all your support and all your comments all along. It's really, truly appreciated. And I really do enjoy giving out these draws. I mean, I don't think I'll ever get around to selling any of these things as part of a business, because the only complaint I ever have about anything is trying to find enough time to get everything done. And like I said, I mean, between 7 and 8K, it took me that long to get those prizes out. So I think we're just going to have to stick with this. Now, one of the things I want to show you before I let you go is, see, now we're on the topic of lids. This is the polycarbonate corrugated lid I put together a little while ago for the tanks, the bottom row for this rack. and they've been working really well. Obviously, that may seem a little odd statement considering I'm repairing one here right now. But in fairness to it, it got broken because I stepped on it. And one of the neat things I find about DIY is, first off, it gives you the skills to make things. But more importantly, if you've made something, it's much simpler for you to fix it. And so there's a lot less waste I find. There's a lot of waste in commercial stuff currently, a lot of throwaway things, and this is an easy repair. Just took a couple minutes. So I just wanted to show you that at the end. So again, thank you very much. If you like this style of video, please like and or subscribe. That is great. Leave all the comments you want. Each comment, each individual will get an entry into the draw. And like I said, thank you again. I mean, I love making the videos and doing the giveaways. Just be patient, please, because it may take me a while to get it in the mail. So again, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.